Hello and welcome to Forum for a Better Understanding. You know, our program today is the 355th in a row, but we've never done the topic we're going to discuss today. It's called Ethics, Religion, and Civil Discourse. We're going to feature what goes on at this Ethics Center at California State University, Fresno, and three people in particular who have been involved in that project in different ways for several years. We're very blessed to have three people who represent in their own personal lives a commitment to ethics, religion, and civil discourse, not only academically, but professionally and personally. My first guest to the left is Dr. Negin Tahvildary, who happens to be a researcher in international and Islamic law at the Intercultural Center of Fresno. And at the University of California State University, Fresno, she is in the Middle East program there as a professor. Our second guest is Dr. Andy Fiala, who is not only a philosophy professor and department head of that department at school, but is the director of the Ethics Center at California State University, Fresno. Many of us know him from his articles in the Bee, in which he shares his insights into ethics every other week at the Bee. And directly across from me is someone most of us will know as Reverend Natalie Chamberlain, who is a disciple of Christ pastor at United Christian Church in Fresno. Natalie is passionately committed to mental health and also to issues of interfaith, and is the co-chair, along with the Imam Ghazvini, of the Interfaith Alliance of Central California. I wonder if the three of you could begin with an interesting question. What do you do professionally when you aren't involved in the project that we're going to talk about today, which is the Ethics Center and that wonderful conference that you worked on in June? Negin, tell us about yourself and the ICCF.
Okay, thank you. Well, at ICCF, you said it, I'm the researcher in international and Islamic law, and this is how I got also connected to the Fresno State. I am teaching two courses this coming semester, for the philosophy department, which is both of them are on topics related to religious studies, and also one course for Middle Eastern studies, so this is lots of preparation already. And then this is the month of Ramadan when Muslims are fasting, so we have lots of community programs at the center. And one of the programs that we recently had was actually the Spirit of Ibrahim Award that we have awarded it this year to the Ethics Center at Fresno State, and Dr. Andrew Fiala has received it on behalf of the center. This award goes each year to an individual or an organization who contributes to the enhancement of understanding among all religions, and specifically to show the values for the Muslim community here in the United States.
Well, I want to congratulate Andy on this and his department, the Ethics Center at the university, but I want to match it off with something that the Diocese of Fresno and the TV station 7 years ago, in its very first year, the ICCF was so happy with the efforts of the diocese to work with the Islamic community. I want to thank you again for 7 years ago blessing the diocese for our work. Andy, tell us a little bit about yourself, that wonderful center, and about the philosophy department. It's really one of the bright spots up on campus.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me on, Jim. Yeah, I'm the chair of the philosophy department and the director of the Ethics Center, so it's like two hats, but they're very closely related. The philosophy department, as you know, we have also religious studies as part of the department, and you've had Robert Maldonado with you on several of these programs. He's on the Bible side of things. We also have religious studies scholars, and then philosophers, which is me. I've been chair for 4 years, and the Ethics Center has been around for 5 years now. It was an idea, it's been percolating for like 7 or 8 years. When I came to Fresno State, I was sort of, as my job description was to participate in the Ethics Center, and we got it running about 5 years ago, and since then we've done 4 or 5 lectures every semester on ethics topics. We've had some sponsorship from the Leon S. Peters Foundation, which we're very thankful about. We put on workshops, panel discussions, something like 50 events in the last 5 years. Yeah, and so we're excited about that. It's interdisciplinary, so there's an advisory board of people from across campus, School of Education, business, social sciences. And then we've been able to connect with community partners too to sponsor other events. So I feel like, you know, after 5 years it's actually successful and it's going in a good direction. We have sponsorship, we have community partners, the campus is supporting of it, so we're proud of it.
You should be, and another person I'm proud of knowing for many years now is Natalie Chamberlain. Reverend Chamberlain, tell us about yourself a little bit with the Interfaith Alliance of Central California and maybe how you have been connected with these two great people.
First of all, I and my congregation tend to come as a match set, and the congregation has as their motto, agree to disagree agreeably. Therefore, we are a congregation of an incredible mixture of people. And because of that, that brings about the things that I'm most interested in. I mean, there's a real support for that in the interfaith work that I do. And so in that work, I've gotten to know the folks at the Islamic Cultural Center, and Negin especially. And then with the, a couple of years ago, when the Ethics Center was doing their program, got involved with the Interfaith Alliance there. But the Interfaith Alliance really, one of our core values is civility in public discourse. And when the Ethics Center was focusing on civility, that was a place that we really fit in well. And so continuing to try to make the Ethics Center's program more widespread by anything we can do in the interfaith community to you know, tag on to that, to add to the diversity that's part of your program.
Now we're going to be talking a lot about an event that happened in June in which teachers from K through 12 were taking part at a really great day, a workshop up at the university. But before June, there was October in the fall. I wonder if Andy could begin by telling us just a little bit about how that convocation came to be, that wonderful gathering of so many people from across the country. Tell us about that conference in October, Andy, and then the others who also participated will chime in.
Yeah, we Natalie mentioned civility as part of the Interfaith Alliance effort. Well, we applied for a grant from the National Endowment for the Humanities. This would have been 3 years ago now. And we didn't know that the chairman of the National Endowment for the Humanities has a pet project for civility and civil discourse. At the same time, the Obama administration has been talking about interfaith issues. So we managed to get our proposal in there at the right time to get this project funded. And so it was $100,000 came to Fresno State. It's a 2-year project, and the first part of it was the fall 2011 conference, where we brought in, I think it was like 25 speakers from out of town, from across the country. They showed up to talk about interfaith issues, religion in the curriculum. They also talked a little bit about the ethical and conceptual issues, because there's a problem with civil discourse and toleration, and does it become relativism? So we had a couple panelists talking about relativism and how that works out. And then some of the keynote speakers were very prominent people. So we had Diane Moore come from Harvard, and she has been involved in the American Academy of Religion's K through 12 curriculum guidelines for teaching about religion. So we're really honored to have her here. She also wrote this really interesting book about religious illiteracy, and that one of the problems is that we're kind of ignorant about our own traditions and about other people's traditions, and so how can you have civil discourse if you don't understand one another? And so on. And we know one of the other really interesting presenters was Amir Hussein from Loyola Marymount, and he's the Islamic Cultural Center. He went out and worked with you folks when he was here. And he's the editor of the Journal of the American Academy of Religion, which is the preeminent journal for religious studies. So we were really honored to have him here.
And another person you're honored to have who presented was our own Negin. So Negin, can you tell us anything about your part in that October event?
Sure, it was a very small part. Everything, all the credits should go back there. But well, I was just one of the speakers, and then the topic was very interesting for I myself. it's 2.5 years that I've moved to United States. Before that, I was working for the United Nations, 2 agencies back home. And at UN, I have learned that we have to respect for diversity and to appreciate being different from one another. The 3 principles that we are always referring to at UN, at the workplace and in the public, was impartiality, neutrality, and humanity, and diversity was a part of it, and also the civil discourse. So I've decided to write to present a paper on diversity in public schools. So the title was Diversity Without Discrimination, and we had 3 proposals for different school levels from K-12 levels for 10th graders and 11th graders and 7th graders also. 3 different proposals. If we have the time, I will discuss about those. And also working with the Islamic Cultural Center of Fresno, we have so many school visits during the year, and they come to the Islamic Center, and these students, they're just wondering how they can learn about the Islamic values. They come to our prayer room, and for each and every item that they see in the room, they are searching for an explanation, and they are so curious to know about this. So this is the best age to approach students and to make them appreciate diversity and differences that they found in their classrooms.
Now, Natalie, one of the co-sponsors of this wonderful convocation in October was the IACC. Tell us about your own personal commitment to this project and how the Interfaith Alliance of Central California is obviously committed to exactly the same ideals, and it's great to know that we can partner.
And again, it's another one of our core values is freedom of religion, and that's part of that diversity. But before the October event, we had an annual meeting. The Interfaith Alliance had our annual meeting, and Bruce Grelly was there to speak about religion in schools and the difference between teaching about religion and teaching a religion, and how we as the Interfaith Alliance could continue our long history of being involved in protecting students' rights in Fresno and Clovis. That's really how we got started as an organization, was working because there were children who were being proselytized in ways that were very much against the faith that their families held. And so we continue to want there to be an education about religion, but we don't want the schools to become a place where there's proselytizing.
You know, it's interesting that the very goal, according to the website about the event in October, did say, this project will advance understanding about ethical and religious topics in a nonpartisan and non-sectarian manner, while highlighting the ways that regionally significant authors and scholars of the humanities have dealt with questions of diversity and pluralism. Natalie, would you say that over the years, the work of the Interfaith Alliance has almost been successful to the point that there is a lot less problem in public education at the moment, or is the battle still very much needed as we speak?
It is very much needed as we speak. And part of the issue, there are policies and programs in place, but there is still a real stigma for somebody of a minority faith to be seen as the one complaining. And I know that in some of our minority faith communities, families are very reluctant to follow up on the kind of bullying that happens around religious issues. And so the Interfaith Alliance has been trying to be more public about our willingness to support families and individuals who are dealing with those kinds of issues, because if, say, you were a member of the Islamic Cultural Center and a very small minority here in this large valley, and the children just want to be part of the group. Yeah. But if a Christian pastor goes with the imam, the people that we go to speak to are much more likely to listen to it in a way that they wouldn't if it was just the imam or the director going.
You know, we do have to take our break at this moment, but we're going to be back and talk about the event in June. the workshop that was experienced at the same Ethics Center at the university, and we'll find out what our three panelists did during that meeting to inspire work in our public schools here in the Valley. So stay tuned.
KNXT thanks all its loyal viewers and respected businesses who have supported your Catholic television station. Now you can support KNXT with program underwriting by having your name, your company's name, or organization associated with your favorite program. Detailed information about you or your company will appear before and after each program or day part you select. Keep the quality and spiritual message alive and make a difference. Call 559-488-7440 today or go online at knxt.tv to find out more about program underwriting on KNXT.
Hello again, and welcome to the second half of our conversation about ethics, religion, and civil discourse. How it is that we will actually discuss passionately, but without anger, without just going over the top in our enthusiasm for issues, especially religious issues, which also are very often divisive. Now, there was this gathering in which the three of you were very involved in June, and I want Andy to begin by telling us how that came to be and your part in it, and then how Negin and Natalie became very instrumental in forming a panel that addressed so many issues.
Yeah, in June we invited K through 12 teachers from the region to come to Fresno State, and we had a workshop. And it was a day-long event. There were teachers from Fowler and Los Banos and Clovis and Fresno, so they represented, there was a broad representation, and also even elementary school teachers, which was really interesting that they were there.
Yes.
And then mostly high school teachers, because the high school teachers really deal with this in the curriculum. I mean, they're required, state standards require teaching about religion. So the teachers came, and they, an outcome this fall is they're going to prepare a lesson plan or some curricular adjustment, carry out the project, and then report back to us. We're going to put this on the website, and this is going to be a resource for other teachers. We hope to continue doing this for a few years and create a good resource on the website. So, and the panelists then that gave presentations included Natalie and Negin, and Lori Clune, who's in the history department at Fresno State, myself, and Vincent Biondo, who is my collaborator on this big NEH project. So we spent the whole day with these teachers, and I was really pleased. They're smart and dedicated, and they actually understand the First Amendment.
Which is a good start.
It was really good, yeah. But they also told us some of their problems and issues, and it's not easy being a teacher and dealing with religious diversity in our region especially. So.
Let's look at some of the people that were there. I've got Dr. Negin, who spoke on examples of intercultural differences and the peace circles. What would you want to say about that, Negin?
As I said in the proposal, we had 3 didactic models for the K through 12 students, how to be more acceptance towards the issues of diversity. So one of the proposals was about the peace circle. The idea, I shouldn't take credits for that, it's the Fresno Pacific University who has started the Center for Peacemaking and Conflict Resolutions. I got the idea from them, but more or less most of us, we come from these backgrounds where we are used to storytelling. So one of the initiatives was that to have students to come and sit in a circle, and then they can discuss issues like peace or other issues that I myself, I'm an instructor, so as Andy is saying, it's really critical how to approach a sensitive cultural or religious issue. I was teaching this last semester a class on Islam and international law, and I had so many students who came from a Muslim background, and these students were so diverse within their own group that it was so hard handling some very like minor issues such as dress code in Islam or marriage in Islam from different perspectives. So something that's missing is that even within one group, there are so many
yeah.
diverse groups. So that was the main goal of my proposal, so that how we can address these differences, and at the same time how to show the commonalities which are more than these differences between different faith groups and communities.
Now, an interesting passage from Negin talking about what she just did, over to Natalie, who is going to be able to tell us from her research and her own experience the diversity that we are privileged to have and challenged to address here in the Valley.
And one of the things that I think comes at the bottom of trying to deal with diversity is to understand just how diverse a nation we are, and then how as a local area or county that diversity fits into the national. And if you think about the map of the United States as a crazy quilt, and some of the pieces are bigger and one color and then lots of different colors, and if you look at the counties in the United States on a crazy quilt kind of map, you'll find pockets where there's lots of diversity, and you'll find pockets where there's almost no diversity, and everything in between.
What do we mean by diversity exactly?
Diversity would be how many different faith perspectives there are, and the percentage of that against the major religion in that area. And that's how that's calculated if you're going to put it on a map.
Across the country, how
Across
many
the
might there
country.
be?
Well, in the U.S. Census, there are 256 different specific faith communities listed. Now, that's way low, because I can think of about 10 or 12 in Fresno County that are not on that U.S. Census list.
So, help us out. Since now we've moved from the national map, now we're going to our
Fresno.
or even Fresno County. Let's focus.
Fresno County is a place that I can actually get statistics for. The Association of Religious Data Archives uses the census information as well as their own surveys, and so I can get county data, although the data is not very good for minority faiths. The 2010 information lists Sikhs as one of the religions in the Valley, and says there in Fresno County there are 6 houses of worship for the Sikh community, and has no number for the number of Sikhs that are actually in the county. And depending on where you look, the estimate for the number of Sikhs in Fresno County is between 35 and 50,000.
Oh, yeah.
And they don't show up at all.
What about Islam?
And there are no concrete numbers for Islam. There are 4 houses of worship listed for Fresno County, and an estimate of just under 7,000, but it's an estimate that comes from research done by the Pew Institute. So and Fresno County is not the most diverse county on the California map, but I think part of it is because a lot of our people are not counted. But the other thing is that our numbers are different than the national numbers by quite a lot.
In which ways?
Well, we only have about half the population that's unspecified. In a lot of parts on the West Coast, that's as high as 80 and 85%.
Oh my.
In the Christian community, Catholics outnumber all other Christians. In the national numbers in the Christian community, all Christians, Catholics are way outnumbered by the evangelical Protestants. And so just the makeup of what you think would, majority faith would be Christian, but it's not the evangelical Christians that are the majority in Fresno County, it's the Catholics. And the Orthodox make up a larger percentage than they do nationally.
So, Andy, you, as chair of this department, sponsored this great event, had these wonderful presentations and others. What were some of the conclusions that you would draw, or what energy do you get, or where do you go next because of finding out all this wonderful discovery and sharing at this meeting?
Well, Natalie pointed out that we don't know enough. This is the problem, because we did some of the same research of trying to find the demographic data, and it's scattered and it's not clear.
It's not.
So from the social science standpoint, there's a problem there. And we'd like to be able to contribute to that. One of the goals is we want to have a course on religion in California that my colleague Vince Biondo is going to propose.
Nice.
Where the demographics would come in and also connected to humanities literature in general, because especially, you know, we've got William Saroyan and all kinds of other, Steinbeck down the street, you know, there's all kinds of interesting authors and ideas that coming from our region. And California has that all over the place. So one of the outcomes is this Religion in California class, but more information too. And then, you know, the other thing we want to do on campus is foster better student self-understanding and interfaith understanding. And Negin's been involved in this this last semester, this interfaith fashion show thing that we did, to have people display what they wear as part of their religion. And you know, it's an open venue for people to ask questions. Why do you wear that such and such? So we want to keep contributing to that kind of thing on campus.
You know, we only have about a minute, so if I'm very fair, I guess I give everybody 20 seconds. So, Negin, what would be your final thought in about 20 seconds?
I will just give a quote from Rumi, who is a Persian poet, and he's considered as a bridge between the faiths. He says that yesterday I was clever, I wanted to change the world. Today I'm wise, I want to change myself. So that's my hope.
Thanks to Rumi, who you can't beat Rumi. I mean, the Shakespeare of the Persians. Natalie.
In light of the recent shooting in Wisconsin and the Sikh people who died partly because of issues of mental health and partly because of mistaken understanding of faith communities, I just want to say we need to understand one another's faith and live civilly, or we're all going to die.
Andy, 10 seconds.
Yeah, we need to understand ourselves and each other much better than we do.
I want to thank our wonderful panel that is here today from the Center of Ethics up at the university. I want to thank you for watching this program and hope that you are finding in these conversations a chance to become better versed in ethics, in religion, and especially in civil discourse. This is what we hope to do at this station. We hope you're enjoying it, learning from it, and being challenged by it. Till next week, God bless.